My name is Annie Diaz. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I'm the mental health therapist with Montezuma County Department of Social Services. In deciding whether or not to come here today, I thought about Dr. Seuss. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. In preparing for this testimony, I felt the weight of all the challenges faced by our community on a daily basis. In addition to high levels of poverty, statistics from 2017 show that we have the 4th highest suicide rate, more than double the statewide average. In our community, we have the following resources to address these significant challenges. As mentioned before, Access Health System in Cortez, it's our only community mental health center. It serves the entire county.
So in 8th grade, she was talking to friends about killing herself. I remember one time when we were watching a family movie, eating popcorn together, not talking, of course, because we're watching a movie and she's texting with somebody. I heard something out on the front porch, and I got up and went to the front porch, and there's a policeman with his gun drawn, because my daughter had been telling people that she was going to kill herself, and one of her friends had told her mom, who called the police, and so now we have the police and the fire department and the ambulance and everything. This is not the kind of response that de-escalates the situation. This kind of treatment is expensive if your insurance company isn't going to help you. But it's scary to spend your children's college fund and your savings on mental health care. But it's more frightening to think that your daughter might not live to go to college if you don't get her the help she needs. Excuse me.
He is now 35 years old and does not want to keep living with us, nor do we want him to live with us. What is going to happen to him when we are older citizens than we are now, and we die? He will end up in jail or on the streets is our big fear. He has no one else but us right now and deserves so much more. He is not a statistic or a diagnosis to us.
He's a good person with a brain dysfunction who needs help, like so many who are mentally ill and homeless or getting mental health treatment in jail.
I'm just going to use an analogy since this is Durango. We have a lot of river rafting companies here. And when you book a rafting trip, you get a helmet, a life preserver, a paddle, and you're told how to work with that river guide to navigate the rapids and to get downstream successfully. Well, in that analogy, I would say we were given none of those things. We were kind of just shown to the river, given a hope and a prayer, and cast upon our wits and our ability to yell for help to anyone on the shore to see our need.
And I have an adult son. His name is Matt. He's 27. He was diagnosed with chronic paranoid schizophrenic in 2014. He's been in the judicial system, low-level offenses. He did have some felonies, but they were dismissed due to competency. And right now he's actually sitting in jail. Friday is his 28th day. That will be the 28th mark, waiting for a competency evaluation. Prior to that, he had spent 84 days languishing in jail for waiting for a bed, and until I reached out to Representative Jonathan Sinker and the Colorado Disability Law Center, I was able to get him a bed for competency restoration, which
even now as I speak, 4 days ago, my son was released after his 5th M1 hold by Swedish Hospital, who failed to follow the law and released him even with the specific details from Mental Health Center of Denver's crisis team that they needed to find my son long-term treatment and not release him, as this was his 5th hold in 7 weeks with nearly fatal alcohol poisoning to drown out the voices from his schizophrenia. The government has spent $500,000 on my son, and he's still in the same place because we stabilize, we don't do treatment.
Other doctors and nurses would say, well, we need to get him off those medications. We don't do substance use treatment here. And I just couldn't help but think, how is this the only chronic illness you don't treat? How is it that you would come in and treat him for his symptoms? Endocarditis, by the way, if you get it a second time, they will not operate on you. They will not treat you if you've shown that you will continue to use after your first bout of endocarditis. Interestingly enough, physiologically, if you use again, using needles, you will almost definitely get endocarditis again. Which puts it on a death sentence, right? And they said, no, we don't provide substance use treatment. So we begged, we flew out, my family, every week, cried with the nurses, told them about what Corey was like, showed him pictures of him as a child, and said, please don't stop helping my brother.
One of the residents, who had been refusing his psychotropic medications for more than a year, became violent and aggressive and is said to have started several fires inside and outside of the home. Despite this, the resident was not regularly monitored and continued to have access to a lighter and was even allowed to smoke in his room. While on site, state officials observed that 10 out of 10 residents taking monitored morning medications had one or more medications out of stock and unavailable. The resident that did not receive his medication for over a year and was starting fires, clearly a danger to himself and others, is named Paul Jimenez. I'm writing a life summary that no family member should ever have to write. The events listed below are reflective of a very broken system, ineffective laws, unethical treatment and neglect, and a family that was completely unable to act.
The second lesson I'd like to share is much less encouraging. As someone who has worked along therapists, agency heads, and insurers to create and maintain WEB, my experience has been that while individuals are supportive of these sorts of efforts and innovations, the behavioral health system we have created leans away from innovative programming that meets the needs of the marginalized. Over the past 7 years, we've had to jump through all manner of hoops to keep this program up and running. We've provided unpaid interns with gas cards. We've subsidized the salary of licensed clinicians. We've begged our friends and family members for favors. We provided stipends to clinicians so they can meet with caseworkers. We paid for copies, for missed appointments, for cell phones, and for program evaluation. All of this has cost us a small fortune. We have spent hundreds of thousands of non-Medicaid dollars from small foundations and donors to keep WEB afloat. In short, I would simply say to you that the resources for innovative care dedicated for the most vulnerable among us are gathered from the willing, the compassionate, and the sympathetic. And once gathered, these resources are nearly always under threat.